Hey, what up, everybody? Hold on, let's double check. Are we live right now? Sometimes you gotta wait. Okay, we are live. Hey, what up, everybody? All right, so where's the picture? Here you go. Oh, uh, right now as we speak, you know what's happening in LA or in Hollywood? The Oscars luncheon. Uh, that's an annual thing where Oscar nominees will come have a get together before the ceremony, and it's nice. They haven't had it for the past couple of years because of the pandemic. So right now, that's what's been trending right now on Twitter. Photos of Kristen Stewart chatting with the cast of Coda. I'm just looking at the photos, but I want to take time to address this real quick. Um, Hello, Jurassic Theory. How are we doing? Good. How are you doing? Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. So this came about early this morning, I believe. Yeah, March 7, 8 o'clock. An article at Variety, and it has been spreading like wildfire. Now you can argue that this is a clickbait article, or something just like trying to get more views and whatnot. Trying to get all controversial, but it doesn't take away from the substance of what the article is covering, and that's what I'm getting at here at the heart of this matter. Because you all seen the Batman, right? The Batman, the new movie that came out this past weekend, and it has been receiving praises left and right, deservingly so because it was such a great film. Holy crap! A lot of people says it's the best Batman movie yet. And they're right. I think so too. Only a few negative criticisms out there, but they're not. I don't know. Maybe they're hard to please or whatnot. So Zoe Kravitz plays Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman. Selena Kyle slash Catwoman in the Batman, and she was awesome in that movie. Okay, um, not to take away from Michelle Pfeiffer, who was perfect in Batman Returns. That's like the barometer. That's like that. That's like the bar that you want to always aspire to whenever you cast somebody as Catwoman. Like, okay, that's the North Star, Michelle Pfeiffer. Um, but the Variety here said that Zoe Kravitz had an interview with the Observer, and Variety covered it, and says that that she made an attempt, right? She made an effort to audition for a role in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises. Remember, that's Christopher Nolan's third Batman movie, the one that completed the trilogy. She made an attempt to audition, but got rejected. She didn't even get to audition for it. After she was told she was too urban for the part, Zoe Kravitz, the new Catwoman, did not disclose. She did not reveal whether the role was for Catwoman in The Dark Knight Rises, which ended up being played by Anne Hathaway in The Dark Knight Rises. Um, Here's the quote from Zoe Kravitz. I don't know if it came directly from Chris Nolan. I think it was probably a casting director of some kind or a casting director's assistant. Being a woman of color and being an actor and being told at that time that I wasn't able to read because of the color of my skin and the word urban being thrown around like that, that was what was that was what was really hard about that moment. Um, Next paragraph says during the 2015 interview with Nylon, Kravitz said the role she was seeking in The Dark Knight Rises was a small one and that she couldn't get into the room because the film wasn't going urban for the role. The actor added at the time, he was like, what does that have to do with anything? I have to play the role like, yo, what's up, Batman? What's going on with you? So in this 2015 interview, it sounded like she was not even gunning for the role of Catwoman. That wasn't what she was seeking. She said the role was a small one. It's like it's probably a role that's just like, hey, yo, Batman, what's going on? What's up, man? Maybe like for one moment or for one scene or split second. Um, a decade ago, because The Dark Knight Rises was a decade ago, like 2012. This year we celebrated the. This year we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of The Dark Knight Rises. Um, Zoe was 10 years younger, you know. So an argument could be made that maybe she was too young for the role, or too young for the role of Catwoman, or whoever this small role is, and um, that's a fair, I think, an argument that can be made. You know, when you're not at the age of what the script says the character should be. You know, I don't think there's nothing wrong with that, at least in my opinion. Um, but to say that, oh, we're not going urban with this movie, you know, we have to cast all white, or like, oh, even this small role, this small character, we have to make it white. Um, it's a little ridiculous. Okay, it's absurd. It's absurd for that to be the reason. Now, uh, but here's the thing, though. Oftentimes, you know, I'm not an actor. Maybe a lot of you are actors out there that can attest to this. Uh, but from what I hear from actors that I've had conversations with, most of the times you don't know, you never know why you did not get cast for the role. You know, oftentimes they won't tell you. All right, they'll be like, sorry, you know, we're looking for somebody else, or like, sorry, best of luck to you. You know, thanks for auditioning anyway, whatever. But most of the times they won't tell you why they don't cast you. So that's why I have so much respect for actors out there grilling it in Hollywood, because man, it must be messing with your self esteem. It must hurt your, because I don't know if I could take that. You know, I don't know if I could do that day in and day out. You know, with my head wondering and pondering, why didn't I get the part? You know, what did I do wrong? You know, I mean, I messed up. I must have messed up that line. Oh, damn it! I should have. You know, I would end up beating myself up over it. You know, I mean, it would really mess with my mental health being an actor auditioning from one room. I mean, just look at movie La La Land. That, you know, Emma Stone, the first Emma Stone's character in the first half of the movie. That's the struggle of being an actor in Hollywood, man. Um, so yeah, most of the times they won't tell you why you didn't get the part, and you're left, you know, battling your mental health, trying to, like, doing mental gymnastics, like, oh, what did I do wrong? It's like, oh my god, I should have done this, I should have done that, and it sucks to have that, lingering in your head. Um, but sometimes also they find out. Sometimes they do find out why they didn't get cast in the role. So this is like one of those rare occasions. Hey, railrunners, hello. Baik, apa kabar? Rel is doing Indonesian language here. Apa kabar, Mas? Baik, baik, baik. Terima kasih. Tomorrow I will see this amazing movie. All right, finally, I'm happy for you. Hey, I'm glad you're catching up, my friend. Good. It's better late than never. Okay. I'm glad you're watching the Batman tomorrow. Um, but yeah, sometimes you do find out, and this is one of those rare occasions where Zoe Kravitz found out. I don't know how she found out. She said, maybe I don't know if it's from Christopher Nolan, maybe a casting director, but somebody spilled the beans to Kravitz, uh, saying that they're not going urban and that she was too urban for the role, whatever this role is in The Dark Knight Rises, and it sounded like it's not Catwoman. Um, Now, again, to re-emphasize what I said earlier, Zoe Kravitz was amazing, amazing as Catwoman in the Batman. Um, Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. Here's how I feel about her. Now I gotta rewatch again the movie The Dark Knight Rises. I only watched it twice my whole life since it premiered 2012. But I felt like, you can correct me if I'm wrong. To my recollection, I felt like the script of The Dark Knight Rises was not able to fit Catwoman into the whole arc. The whole Gotham's mess, the whole Batman versus Bane thing. It's like And then they throw in Talia al Ghul at the end. Remember that? It was just like it's a case of too many. One of those movies where it has just too many people, too many characters, and the script didn't really know how to juggle all of them and connect each character, each storyline substantively. So that's how I felt about Anne Hathaway as Catwoman in The Dark Knight Rises. Was she perfectly cast in that role? Yes, yes. Appearance wise, you know, she became Catwoman. But character wise, it was just not really. It wasn't up to what we expected it to be. Like, it's like, how did she fit into the whole thing? That was my beef with Anne Hathaway's Catwoman in The Dark Knight Rises, and it's not her fault. It's mostly the script. Um, I mean, she looked fine in that role. Okay, she was. I don't mind. I don't have any problem being the whole whether she's white or not. That's not a problem. That's not a thing to me. I saw the movie and I was like, okay, that's Catwoman. I could see Anne Hathaway as Catwoman, and she pulled it off. Unfortunately, just yeah, I'm going back around again, sounding like a broken record. So, but yeah, that's my beef about Anne Hathaway's Catwoman in The Dark Knight Rises. Had it been much better if it had been Zoe Kravitz playing Catwoman in The Dark Knight Rises? We'll never know. We'll never know. And as I said, Zoe Kravitz was 10 years younger uh, a decade ago. Who knows if she would even, be a fitting opposite to Christian Bale at the time. So, these questions, are valid. The ones that are not valid is about her skin color. Because if you recall, guys, there was a black Catwoman, in the 1960s. Her name is Eartha Kitt for the Adam West Batman. So that had happened. So it's not like a black Catwoman was unheard of until Halle Berry became Catwoman. It's like Halle Berry wasn't the first. Bless her heart, but she wasn't the first. She wasn't the trailblazer. So or maybe you can say, oh, this doesn't fit the whole thing. Everybody in The Dark Knight Rises are all white. Like, yeah, still though, like that's not a very you can't really say that, and you don't want to say that out loud if that is your objective for The Dark Knight Rises cast to be mostly white. So um, especially in this day and age, definitely it's not a good thing. Let's go to with the comment here real quick before I move on. Relevant art. Zoe Kravitz is the best for Catwoman. My favorites to play Batman cast while our position Poison Ivy, Anya Taylor, Dylan Minnette as Robin. Okay, so you're suggesting the future casting of the roles. That's cool. That's cool. I hope in the sequel there will be Mr. Freeze and I want Poison Ivy, maybe a drama movie like Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. Well, yeah, the Batman was kind of like Joker. They're both standalone. They're not meant to have sequels. They're not meant to connect to the DCEU. They're not meant to connect to the Zack Snyder universe. But I know people are tweeting about the Batman 2, the Batman sequel for the past few days. It has not been made official yet. Matt Reeves hasn't said anything about Batman sequel yet. But the fans love it so much they want the Batman 2 with Robert Pattinson. But we'll see. We'll see whether that happens or not. My favorite Catwoman is still Halle Berry. I did not agree that the movie flopped. Yeah, unfortunately, the movie flopped though. I'm glad you like it, but yeah. The singer Eartha Kitt. Yes, Eartha Kitt was the first black Catwoman. Let's see. Did I get everybody's comments here? Yes. So my last thing that I want to show you before I end this video here, guys. So this past few days, there's an actor slash comedian named Connor Ratliff, who revealed that he got fired from the Band of Brothers miniseries on HBO 2 decades ago. Apparently, he got cast and then he got let go before production started because the producer, Tom Hanks, said that Connor had, and I quote, dead eyes. Dead eyes. And so Years later, Connor made a podcast called Dead Eyes, referring to what he said was the reason he got fired from Band of Brothers. Band of Brothers, as you know, is the miniseries about World War II on HBO, and it was like he got rave reviews. It was critically acclaimed. Got awards left and right, and it launched a lot of people's careers. But Connors didn't get that opportunity because he got fired for what he said. Tom Hanks said he got dead eyes, and so that went viral this past few days. And now Ratliff said that he has secured Tom Hanks himself as the guest for his podcast Dead Eyes Season 3 finale. Wow. So we don't know when this is going to air, but we are going to hear from the horse's mouth himself, aka Tom Hanks, whether he's going to confirm or deny that he fired Connor Ratliff because Connor has quote unquote dead eyes. And Connor said he has been a fan of Tom Hanks forever, so he's not gonna. I don't think that he's gonna be combative. I think they're gonna have a pretty honest conversation. But it sounds like Connor's a fan. I'm sure he's gonna be starstruck that to have Tom Hanks agree to be on his podcast, and we're finally gonna hear like I said earlier, oftentimes an actor just doesn't know why he or she did not get cast in their role. Sometimes they won't tell you. That's why a struggling actor, aspiring actor in Hollywood, it's a very stressful thing to be, because you're waiting tables and then you're doing auditions and you're not getting the role, and then you're left wondering like, oh, what did I do wrong? Did I mess up my line? Oh, maybe I should have done this. I should have done that. And as you're waiting at the table, and then you lash out on your customer because you're not getting that gig. You're not advancing. You're not breaking. You're not getting that big break. So it's tough being an actor in Hollywood. So and no, the thing is with Zoe and Connor, I'm glad that for Zoe, the universe came back around again for her. Right. So it's awesome for her. That's good news. 10 years later, she finally got to be in a Batman movie. But for many actors, they end up just being like Connor Ratliff. They're like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just create my own podcast and see where where it takes me from there, because they didn't get any gig, and they were hoping that folks like Connor were hoping like something like Band of Brothers would launch their career, and that's another thing. A lot of these actors who didn't get the roles of in big movies or in big TV shows, they're like, oh man, if I hadn't gotten that, my fate, my future, my destiny would have been different by now. I would have, my life would have been different. Just imagine what my career would have been. And there. So that's another thing, piling on top of the whole, beating myself up thing that I mentioned to you. So they were hoping, it's like Band of Brothers. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Batman, The Dark Knight Rises. That's a big deal. That's gonna launch it. This is it for me. After this, I'll be set to go. I don't have to audition anymore. So yeah, it's tough being an actor out there, and I can't wait to hear this podcast, to see from Tom Hanks's mouth himself as to whether or not it's true. Can he confirm or deny that he fired Connor because he thinks Connor has dead eyes? Is he the reason for Connor's career demise? Is he the one that was he the stumbling block to to Connor's destiny or future? Because if I were Tom Hanks, I would if I did do that, if I had stopped Connor's career on the track, because he has dead eyes, I would feel. If I were Tom Hanks, I would feel kind of remorseful. I would go on the podcast. I'd be like, hey, dude, I'm sorry. I totally am sorry. That was not cool of me. Like Will Smith. Remember Will Smith last year, 2 years ago with the Fresh Prince of Bel Air reunion. With the original Aunt Viv. How he got original Aunt Viv fired from the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and then in the reunion, they patch up again, and they're like, oh, water under the bridge. And I remember reading that Will Smith said, to the original Aunt Viv, like, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I was young back then. I felt like everybody was a threat to my career." He said that. Will Smith said that. Back then, I was like, I wanted to be the it. I want to be the bomb diggity. I want to be the guy. It's like, and I felt like everybody was a threat to me. So I was like, I'm sorry. That I was young. I was stupid. So Will Smith actually apologized to the original Aunt Viv. So I don't know if Tom Hanks is gonna do that to Connor, but I'm really curious as to what he's gonna say. I'm really really curious. I want to hear this podcast so bad. And back to taking it back to Zoe Kravitz again. If I were Zoe Kravitz, I wouldn't lose my sleep over what happened 10 years ago. Okay, that's the past of the past. Now you got to be Catwoman in the Batman. But thank you for sharing your story with us. This is interesting to know that even in the year what was 10 years ago, 2012, even in the year 2011, 2012, when they were filming The Dark Knight Rises, there was still racism. There was still this mentality of like, hey, right? We want to make this movie not urban, and you're too urban. Unfortunately, 10 years ago, it was still a thing. And I think it's still going to be an ongoing battle in Hollywood as far as the whole thing with representation, getting cast for the right roles, whatnot. So it's still going to be an ongoing debate, an ongoing battle. Whether he or she is the right person for the role and whatnot. So, but at least we know this story, and we at least know this fact that Zoe has shared with us, and it's interesting to look back on it. Real Rena's art. Hope Tom Hanks will have a nom next year for Oscars 2023. Too early to tell. We don't know what movie Tom Hanks will release this year. Maisel series is one of my favorite Amazon series, like the way they act and dialogues. Yeah, that's a good show. That's a very, very good show. Raquel Renner's art says there is a lot of competition in Hollywood. Yes, that's another good point. Thank you for bringing that up. So a lot of people are gunning for one role. Thousands, even more than thousands, are auditioning for one role, and we can't take that away as well from the casting director's job. Any casting director, and it's a tough business. Yeah, it's terrible that the reason was, hey, you're too urban. You can't do that. You can't say that. But it is like I said, a lot of people gunning for one role, so you gotta really be for a casting director's job. It's often more than often it's a crapshoot. Like throwing a dice on a table, hoping that whoever you pick in your gut was the right one for the role actually was the right one on the role on the screen. Ended up being the it. This is the case of when it's on the hands of the casting director. When you're famous like Heath Ledger and Christian Bale and you got cast, you don't have to go through auditions, so you don't have this problem with the too urban or not too urban thing. But yeah, you are right. A lot of people are competing for one role, and that's also another factor that we have to consider. Definitely. Yeah. Long story short, yes. I mean, Eartha Kitt. We talked about it. Eartha Kitt. Thank you for joining us. Eartha Kitt was the black Catwoman in the 1960s, and also, of course, Halle Berry. Halle Berry was Catwoman as well. Bobby Havens, hello. What's up? What's up, Bobby? And Reverend SR, Tom Hanks supporting for actor for for Elvis, for the movie Elvis Presley. Yeah. Well, we got to see the movie first, right? But I'm glad you feel confident about casting your prediction on Tom Hanks for Elvis. The movie comes out this summer, by the way. So yeah, Eartha Kitt has been was Black Catwoman. Halle Berry was Black Catwoman, and now we have another Black Catwoman in Zoe Kravitz. So unfortunately, Zoe Kravitz did not get the role, whatever this role was, in The Dark Knight Rises 10 years ago. But now she got it. She got it, and we're happy for her. And the trajectory of her career is going up and up and up. unlike Connor Ratliff, who got booted from the the Band of Brothers. So my heart goes out to all the Connor Ratliffs out there, but my heart also feels happy for all the Zoe Kravitz out there as well. So you got to celebrate the wins, and you got to mourn the losses, definitely. Roll Runner's Art Hellbear was a great Catwoman and also a great Bond girl. Excellent. Yes, agreed, agreed. Um, long story short, but at the same time, Zoe Kravitz is not underprivileged, so I don't feel bad. She's only high because of her name. That's right. That's a good. Thank you for bringing that up. Wow. See, this is why I love chatting with you guys, man, during the live stream. So sometimes some of the points that I was spewing, maybe I overlooked some details or whatnot, and you brought up these good points. Railroad Star says, "Hey, it's hard. It's a tough competition in Hollywood, gunning for one role." And now, a long story short, brings up another great point, that Zoe Kravitz, it's not really sort of you can't really equate Zoe Kravitz with like the actors waiting tables, waiting for their shot, auditioning day in day out, because Zoe Kravitz is the daughter of a rock star. um, so she has an easier way into Hollywood, and she has a way easier way of going around in Hollywood, as opposed to the actors that are waiting tables. So you're right. You are so right. A long story short, absolutely right that she's not really quote unquote underprivileged. So as heartbroken as I am hearing about Zoe Kravitz not getting the Dark Knight Rises role because she was too urban. But we got to remember that she could get any other roles easier than any other actors out there because of her last name. Because she's Zoe. What Zoe? What is it? Zoe? Anything else? No, Zoe Kravitz. Okay. So definitely good point. On a long story short, excellent. Thank you for bringing that up. Um, I think Zoe paved her own way, not because mom is famous and dad and her stepdad Aquaman. Yes, I'm not saying that Zoe is, I'm not saying that Zoe went into the auditions like, hey, do you know who I am? I'm not saying that Zoe went into the audition room and, handing out a name card with a last name capitalized to the casting director. I'm not saying that, but we gotta take into consideration that just like Lily Collins, Phil Collins' daughter, who was in that series, Emily in Paris. A lot of these sons and daughters of famous people or people who are established in the business, they do have a degree of much easier way than the ones who don't have that last name. You know, sure, Zoe Kravitz still has to do the work. She still has to do the thing. She still has to read the lines, to do a reading, whatever. All the process. I'm not saying it's just like, oh, you got cast and that's it, because your last name is Kravitz. But it does factor in. It does factor in, and we're lying to ourselves if we said like, oh, the casting director will be like just skimming through or skimming over, I should say, skimming over the last name. No, that last name would stand out if they see it on the thing, on the list, whatever. But the problem with this article is that not the problem with the article. The problem with the story is that she was not even allowed to audition. All right, she was not even allowed to audition for The Dark Knight Rises. She wanted to audition, but she didn't even get to do that. So that's the big difference. And because she was said to be too urban. So those little details along the way. All these factors come into play, but we gotta not forget all these little details along the way as well. So Reynolds, I'm a fan of Zoe. Her best performance in my opinion is Big Little Lies. Yes, I love Big Little Lies. Fantastic show. Season 2 wasn't as great. All right, I'm gonna say, I'll take the heat, but season 2 wasn't as great. I love season 1. They should have left it as a standalone, but that's just my opinion. Bacall McElroy, just racism. Yes, yes, and you can't. Okay, again and again, I'm at the risk of sounding like a broken record. We never know exactly why a casting director doesn't cast you. in the role. Sometimes, most of the times, you don't know. Most of the times, they won't tell you. Most of the times, you're left the audition room. The things lingering in your head, like you're battling yourself, like you're beating yourself up, like what did I do wrong? Did I mess up my line? I should have done this. I should have done that. But there's a few instances like this, like or Connor Ratliff with Tom Hanks, with the Dead Eyes thing, where they found out somehow why they didn't get cast in their role. So for them to say you're too urban, oh, that's cringe, man. That's cringe. Don't say that. Don't say that. Yeah, your racism is showing. Um, there are other valid reasons. Maybe she was too young at the time, 10 years ago. Maybe she was, you know, um, not the right fit for what is written on the script. As far as personality goes, maybe they were looking for something else. But oh man, in the year 2011 to 2012, uh, for them to say, "Oh, we're looking for a Batman movie that's not urban," that's cringe. Don't say that out loud, man. That's not cool. Your racism is showing. Whether it's intentional or not, whether it's intentional or unintentional, that could be categorized as racism, definitely. So it seems so definitely not cool on their part. We don't know if it's like Kravitz says. I don't know if it's from Chris Nolan, or if it's the casting director or casting director assistant. But that was what she was told, that she was too urban, and they were not looking to make an urban Batman movie at the time. So, but yeah, for the actors out there, those of you who are trying to be SAG members or are already SAG members but can't find a gig, you're still auditioning, day in and day out. If this is the life that you want, man, if this is the career that you want, hey, keep trucking through. Keep trucking through. It's painful. I know. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes because I don't have the guts or the persistence to do it. I would give up after like 2 days, crying, curling up in the corner for not getting roles. I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know how you guys do it. So if this is what you wanted all your life and you still want to do it, hey, bless your heart. Keep doing you, and hopefully you make it big. Hopefully you get that big break, and hopefully there's no Tom Hanks or there's no casting director along the way that would derail your dream, that would put your dream stop to us on its track. Most definitely. Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman is amazing indeed. Yeah, so yeah, that's my last point to all you actors out there. Keep the dream alive, pursue it, and best of luck, my friend. Best of luck. For those of you who didn't get to chat with me, share your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always, subscribe. Thank you, Bokal. Thank you, Rel. Thank you, Long Story Short. And who else? Thank you, Jurassic Theory. All right? Subscribe. Let's rock this.